Today we're going to do your two best fit line graphs for data table 1 and data table 2. But before you can do that, you have to have data table 1 and data table 2 complete, which if you were not here on Thursday or Friday, I sent an announcement in Canvas to please complete the makeup module, which is here. For those of you that missed, you must do this before you do the graphing. This will tell you the materials that you need. This will tell you the directions, the purpose, and then this is your data tables 1 and 2. Click on it. It'll open up. The data tables are there. They have to be done by hand. It will not take a digital copy. So you'll copy down data table 1, data table 2 like everybody else did last week. And then here's a video, which is me in a class going over it. You'll be able to get your data and solve for solution mass and density. Okay? So again, this is for those of you that were absent on Thursday and Friday. Those of us that were here, we have our data and we have our data tables complete. Now, I am recording without having the module done, so I don't have tomorrow's module up and running yet, but the best fit line graphs with slope from last class that we looked at the very end of class will be in there. You need graph paper to complete the best fit line graphs. So I have my graph paper here, which is what I gave people in class. It opens up in .cub. And if you just go up here to the drop-down menu and hit print, you can print. This is the graph paper that I printed tonight because I don't have any graph paper at home either, to show you guys how to do the best fit line graphs. If you don't like that graph paper, I just quickly last week found some printable graph paper. You can go anywhere online and find printable graph paper. If you have graph paper at home already, by all means use that graph paper. If you don't have graph paper at home or you cannot print graph paper, you will have to get creative and make your own graph paper to do this part of the lab. So we're going to make two best fit line graphs, one for data table 1, deionized water, and then one for data table 2, which is ethanol. We're going to title each graph. We're going to label the x-axis volume in milliliters and the y-axis solution mass in grams. We're going to make a best fit line with a ruler and calculate the slope of the line. The slope equation was given to you. It's at the bottom here, though. It's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. But on our data tables, since it's a mass volume graph, I substituted mass for y and then volume for x. So on your data table, it says m2 minus m1 divided by v2 minus v1. Just substituted them in. Solve for slope on the data table 1 and 2. Show all of your work for full credit. Put it in decimal form and compare it to the average density. Slope is another way to find density. When finding slopes, choose the whole numbers for your M1, M2, V1, V2 values. If you do not mark on the graph your points that you use for slope and also show the work for your slope, you'll receive no credit for slope. Okay? And when you're done today, you're also going to submit your graphs, pictures of them, into the assignment. And make sure you also upload your data tables today as well, data table 1, data table 2 in the module. You'll have to submit pictures of those. So I am unable to record at home because my document projector's at school. So what I did today, and hopefully this works out, I took pictures every step of the way on doing the graphs, and I'm going to put it into this Google Slides presentation and show you what to do. The first thing is, it really doesn't matter for these graphs which way you put your paper, because if you look at your solution mass and your volume, let me show you what I mean real quick. So this is just a data table from, I think this is block 7. So you're going to be, your volume, right, is your x-axis, and then your solution mass is your y. So you're going to plot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trials. So you're going to plot your 5 trials. You're going to have 5 points plotted on your graph. And if you look at your lowest value, 14 and 13, and then your highest values, 44 and 43, I always look and see like what my biggest number is, and that's how I determine how to put my paper, but since both of these are pretty much the same, it doesn't matter which way you put your paper, if you put it landscape or portrait. If this was like 143, I would make sure that this would be on the long axis so I could spread it out, but that's not really an issue with this one. All right, so I put the paper landscape, and I gave it the title, deionized water, solution mass in grams, and then my Google Slides cut off my picture, but volume in milliliters on the bottom. And I accidentally put centimeters cubed. So milliliters. Mrs. Nichols made a mistake. So milliliters. So I went up by fives. We have to get to 40 something, so I just shot for 50 on each the X and Y axis. Every dark line, I went up by 5 because there's 5 lines in between. I forgot 35, but I fix it on the next slide. You'll see that. So if you go up by 5s correctly, count by 5s, don't do what I did, you should be able to fit everything on your graph fine. So you guys can see that I fixed that, right? So 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So this is trial 1, trial 2, trial 3, trial 4, trial 5. From my data table 1, my trial 1 was 14.7 milliliters for the volume. So I found 14.7 milliliters. And then the mass was 13.87. So I went up to 13.87 and made a dot. Now I made a really big dot and I colored it with pink pen because I wanted you guys to be able to see it. My second plotting point, my second trial was 23.2. So 20, 21, 22, 23, kind of estimate that decimal 0.2, and then 22.58. So I went up to 22.58. So this is trial 2, trial 3, trial 4, trial 5. Now I know some of my classes, we decided to get rid of that first trial because we had data that was kind of skewed. If that was your block, you don't have to plot that first trial, okay? So the next thing you want to do is get a straight edge or a ruler. And with the best fit line, you want to draw a line with, and you should be using pencil, by the way. I know I use some pen, but I'm trying to make things stand out in the video. So you want to use a straight edge, a ruler if you have one. I cannot find a ruler, so I used a Bath and Body Works coupon. And so you lay your straight edge so it's close to all of those dots. Now, sometimes when you construct a best fit line, your line doesn't go through any of your points. Sometimes your line goes through one of the points. Sometimes it goes through 2. Sometimes it goes through 3. A best fit line is not meant to, like, you're not constructing it to go through the points. You're constructing an average line. So once I drew the line, there was a staple in my coupon, so it made a funny little divot here. But you want to make one nice long line, okay? And you should be using pencil if you have pencil at home. I used pen so you guys can see it. So there's my best fit line for deionized water. So what you want to do now is you want to pick 2 points on the line and read the M and the V value to figure out the slope. So I said to pick whole numbers. Ooh, that's kind of, I'm sorry, it's kind of not clear. But anyways, so when you want to, how you get whole numbers is you want it to go through the crosshairs. You want that line, like even right here, see how it goes through 4 corners? If you look closely here, it doesn't go through 4 corners. It doesn't go through 4 corners. If you keep going up, that's close, but I don't think it's as close as these two. It looks like the only 2 points that go through 4 corners. If you choose, this is a little bit easier to look at. If you choose a point on the line where it goes through 4 corners, any 4 corners, you will guarantee a whole number. So like even right here, this goes through 4 corners, this one goes through 4 corners. If we kind of follow the line up, I don't see any up here, but I see a lot down here. It looks like 1, 2, 3, maybe that one 4, but this one definitely looks like it goes through the 4 corners. Again, picking a point on the line that goes through the 4 corners guarantees a whole number. We could choose the spot right here where my mouse is. but then you have to guesstimate what that decimal point is. And then you have to guesstimate what the decimal point is here. We don't want to guess. We want to have some exact numbers. Sorry, whole numbers. So look for the four corners. So after you find your first spot, you're going to read the V value, the X value. So V1, volume 1 is 5, and I should have put mils, but I didn't because it's mils on the bottom. And then over here, my M1 value is 5.6. So this is 6 milliliters. Again, 5, and then 6. So then I want to pick another one. Now, I could have chose a couple of these down here, right? I chose this one. It's the first one that stood out to me. When you're picking your second value, you want to move out from the first one. Okay, your V2 and M2 value has to be bigger than your V1 and M1. So I struggled finding one until I went all the way out here. Okay, this one's kind of close too. There could be 50 points on this line, you guys, that we could choose to find slope. We only need to choose 2. And again, using it, picking 2 that go through 4 corners, guarantees that you're going to have whole numbers. If we keep going, there's also some other areas like right here and even way up here that goes through 4 corners, but you just need 2. So if I read the V2 value, 20 milliliters, I added the mils in between the pictures. And then if you read the M2 value, 20 grams. So those are the 4 points, or not the 4 points, I'm sorry, the 2 points, the 4 values that you need for slope. So then when you go to your data table 1, at the very bottom, there's a spot for you to put in your slope. So M2 is 20, M1 is 5, M2 minus M1, I think I reversed my numbers. I'm sorry, 6. I said 5, didn't I? 6. 20 minus 6, and then V2 minus V1. V2 is 20, V1 is 5, 20 minus 5. There you go. Solve it out. 14 divided by 15, so 14 grams divided by 15 milliliters. You're going to put it in decimal form because the directions tell you to do so. I got 0.93. Now, if I compare my 0.93 to my average density, it's off a little bit, but that's okay because slope is another way to find density. So these two numbers should be the same, but there's a lot more human error with the graph. Okay, we have decimal points that we have to estimate where we're going to plot our points. And then drawing that best fit line is also, there's human error with it because you have to eyeball where to put that line. So if your slopes aren't close, if your slope isn't close to your average, I mean, if it's way off, like if this was 0.8 or 0.7, I would redo it. If it was like 1.12, I would redo your slope. You should be within a few, hundredths of what you have got for your average. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go over the next graph because it's the exact same thing. So it's for ethanol. All right, we're going to do solution mass and then volume. So the exact same setup. I am hoping you're building confidence with graphing. So make sure that you have solution mass on the Y and volume on the X, because for a mass volume graph, they have to be, so your mass has to be on the Y and the volume has to be on the X or it doesn't work. So I went ahead and went up by 5s again, because if I look at my second set of data, maybe not. I made this one smaller. 45, 36 are my biggest, points to plot. They're close to being the same, or close enough to where it doesn't really matter how we put the paper. But I put it landscape sideways again. I also went up by 5s, every dark line, like I did for my other graph, so the setup can be the exact same. Then I plotted trial 1, trial 2, trial 3, trial 4, trial 5. Make sure you're doing your volume on the bottom, mass on the side. Sometimes students will flip like they're reading their data, but they plot it backwards, so just take your time. You're going to take your straight edge. I'm using another coupon to make my straight edge because Mrs. Nichols could not find the ruler. And you're using pencil. I'm using pen so you can see. I made one real long line. I think that's pretty good. An average line that's close to all of your points. You're going to pick 2 points on the line that go through the crosshairs or the four corners. So here's one, but I chose this one. So my V1 is 11 and my M1 is 5, 6, 7, 8. I made it a little bit sloppy, but I was trying to show you how I read that. So here's my second point. Again, there could be 20 points you could use to find slope. You just need 2. So this is my V2, so 16, 17, 18. So my V2 is 18, and then my M2 is 14. By all means, you can do this with a color pencil or your pencil or a marker if you want to. If it helps you, use that straight edge. I was using a gel pen, so that's why it came out kind of funny. Okay, you're more than welcome to do the same thing if it helps you figure out those numbers. So my M2, hold on one second. So 14 and then 8 and then 18 and 11. So M2 minus M1, 14 minus 8 divided by V2 minus V1, 18 minus 11. So 14 minus 8, 18 minus 11. I got 6 grams over 7 milliliters, 0.88 grams over milliliters. And that's how you do slope. Okay, so when you're done doing your graphs today, you can upload pictures of your best fit line graphs into the Canvas assignment. If you're unable to print my graph paper or you don't have graph paper at home, you're going to have to get creative and make your own graph paper on regular paper. Okay, email me with any questions or Canvas message me with any questions. I'll have my office hours in the module, but pretty much, answer you all day long. That will, not all day, but the school day. All right, stay warm, stay off the roads, and have a great day. Bye, you guys.